environmental audit report, which calls for urgent measures to addressing the health conditions of local populations, including alarming cases of children being born with abnormalities. During the briefing, Ayan also informed the head of state about vacant SPLM positions resulting from the passing of some members due to illness. Ayan further updated the president on the underlying challenges affecting the performance of the Council of Estates.
We briefed him on the previous sessions about the participations of the members in the activities of the Council of Estates, and we report to him also some challenges in regards to some gaps in the membership of the Council, of which he directed that the SPLM Secretary General, the Minister in the Office of the President, and maybe the Minister of Finance, together with us, the leadership of the SPLM and the Council of State, will sit together so we'll see that how to address those challenges in regards to members who are maybe very sick, some of them who passed on and are not attending sessions, and how to see that we have membership that are really very active. I shared also with His Excellency a follow-up on the delay of the report on the environmental audit. In this briefing also, I shared with His Excellency the President the importance of maybe having a committee to follow up the release of this environmental audit so that it is the government take.
Vice President Dr. James Wane Iga and a team from Central Equatorial State Business Union led by Thomas Muto convened in Juba regarding the upcoming third edition of Juba Economic Forum, which will address challenges hindering the region's sustainable economic development. In a media statement, post-discussions Union's Chair Muto stresses the importance of the forum in developing a strong agricultural actions to foster the national economy.
The third edition, which is promoting commercial agriculture for sustainable economic growth. And we have agreed with His Excellency, the Vice President, that officially we will launch the third edition on 30th of this month. And upon invitation of the line Ministerial Economic Cluster, so we have agreed to extend invitation to all the Ministerial Economic Cluster. All will get of the third edition, which is promoting commercial Ministerial Economic Cluster. So we have agreed to extend invitation to all the Ministerial Economic Cluster. All will gather together on 30th of this month so that together we'll launch the third edition of the Economic Forum. And we are thankful to the government that the government is standing with the private sector, because for us to rescue our country from the economic hardship that we are facing, we need to work collectively with the government to look into areas of concern and areas that really need investment. And we see into that commercial agriculture is the way to go, and this is what, as a business union, we have come.
Vice President Tabandengai and members from Contractors Association discussed payment and clearance of arrears of the subcontractors, companies working on road projects across the country. In a media briefing, the association's chairperson, Malech Martin, says some of the subcontractors have lost their capital and business due to non-payment by the main contractors for more than 1 year. Representative of the African Resource Corporation Company, ARC Deng Manuel, affirms the company's commitment to clearing the arrears.
Now, it has been for a very long time that some of the subcontractors working under ARC have not been paid, and they have been patient all along, but they have now come to a point where their patience has run out because of the delayed payment. Most of these subcontractors have gone to a lot of crises, to problems. Others have lost their lives, others are in prison, others are out of business, and others are in different conditions of suffering. We've been also trying to reach the government, like to the Office of His Excellency, the Vice President for Infrastructure, to ensure that the payment of these subcontractors is taken seriously and they have been given their own due. Because we do not want the situation where they end up in litigation, and then the industry collapses, and then the roads of this country are not sorted out. If this happens, then this country will be a jungle, because we believe roads are priority number one. And as it is, His Excellency, the Vice President, gave us a very good encouragement that they will be able to take up this matter seriously. And then in a short time, in a short while, we'll be able to hear some good news, and the contractors may possibly go back to their work.
It is true that the chairman of South Sudan Subcontractors Association has mentioned that they have not been paid for more than 1 year. That's true, and the situation is very clear. The country has no funds in the oil stop in Sudan due to the conflicts. But ARC management is very committed. Once the work resume or oils and get some fund, we are going to clear them. We also feel the government to consider funding the road infrastructures during this dry season so that the road is accessible during the rain season. This is the only chance we have to make sure that we open up the roads and start maintenance of.
Vatican Ambassador Archbishop Simmons Patrick Organ briefed Vice President Rebecca Nyandeng Dimabur on Pope Francis' message of peace and reconciliation.
And we had a very pleasant and very informative exchange about the beginning of my mission here, of course, as the Pope's representative, but also about the Pope's wish for South Sudan and his prayer for South Sudan, which is always a wish and a prayer for peace, which found in the Vice President, of course, a very strong echo, since she has been a tireless advocate too for peace. And so we both agreed that this is a vitally important search, that we must continue to search for peace, continue to promote it, and on the basis of that, that we can look towards the development of South Sudan, development in favor of its people for the future. The Vice President renewed and re-expressed again her great commitment to carrying forward peace.
We cross over to the Kenyan capital, Nairobi, where the alignment of the Tumaini Peace Initiative with the 2018 Revitalized Peace Agreement has proposed by the government as a check and peace negotiations, as all-out opposition groups insist on Tumaini's independence, a position the government strongly rejects. The negotiating parties are consulting the mediation body expected to meet today to compare their positions and pave the way for the mediation process amid hopes of reaching a consensus to ensuring the country's peace and stability. Both government rapporteur Dr. Elia Martin Lomoro and the United People's Alliance spokesperson Waldau jointly addressed the media, expressing optimism for an imminent peace agreement in Nairobi.
It is now about consultation. So in the morning we had consultation with the mediation, and the consultation were first from the mediation that the opposition was unable to present their position today. They wanted more time in order to look at our presentation and to be able to respond accordingly. But then they asked what we wanted to get out of this process, and it's very simple. We said that we wanted to peace based on the agreement on the resolution of the conflict in the Republic of South Sudan, and that we were ready to listen to the opposition and to see the gaps that they might have produced in their access. Tomorrow at 10 o'clock we will come here and listen to the opposition, and after that the two positions can be tabled for negotiation and mediation.
We will be making our own presentation as UPA in the plenary, where we will also make it crystal clear that the Tumaini consensus cannot and will not be signed and to be annexed to the failed RRCs. Therefore, let it be known from today henceforth that Tumaini consensus will be a standalone agreement with its own clear implementation mechanism as agreed in the initial protocols. In fact, there is only one protocol on responsibility sharing that should be the main subject for discussion during this round of talks. Thus, the Tumaini consensus can be concluded expeditiously.
Presidential Special Envoy to the Middle East Affairs Tudgalwak Manime reaffirms commitment to promoting political, social, and economic relations between South Sudan and the Middle East countries as he assumes his role. Additionally, Gadlwak assures his readiness to cooperating with his successor to ensuring peace and stability of the country. Coming up, South Sudan renews its call for the Security Council to lifting sanctions and arms embargoes that restrict African nations' ability to defend and counter terrorism in the region. We are going for a break. Stay tuned for more stories coming up. Welcome back and thank you for tuning in. We now move to the United Nations headquarters in New York, where South Sudan has renewed its calls for the Security Council to lift sanctions and arms embargoes that restrict African nations' ability to respond effectively to security threats. The Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Ramadan Abdallah Goj, addresses the opening of the United Nations Security Council-led debate on African-led and development-focused counterterrorism, strengthening African leadership and implementation of counterterrorism initiatives. This is a report we have for you.
Give the floor to His Excellency, Mr. Ramadan Abdullah Muhammad Jok, Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation of South Sudan.
Good afternoon, Mr.
This
President.
year's United Nations Security Council debate on African-led and development-focused counter-terrorism, strengthening African leadership, has brought sharper focus to real issues as discussions opened in New York. Support for African Union initiatives, sustainable funding, socio-economic development coordination, and legal frameworks to combating terrorism, financing, and organized crime have dominated the discussions. Minister Goj stresses South Sudan's commitment to collaboration in addressing poverty, unemployment, and inequality by strengthening education, infrastructure, and women's empowerment, crucial pillars for advancing counter-terrorism efforts.
Mr. President, members of the Council, a critical gap in Africa counter-terrorism efforts lay in sustainable and predictable funding. Issue of funding is very paramount in this. South Sudan call on this Council to support mechanisms that ensure direct and reliable financial resources for African peace operation. This includes incorporating African-led mission into UN-assessed contribution. Additionally, innovative financing mechanisms such as leveraging natural resource revenue, engaging international financial institutions, and fostering private sector contribution must be explored.
Minister Goy called for African nations to fully benefit from their independence and renewed the appeal to lifting sanctions to foster counter-terrorism efforts. Goy also calls for the international community joining President Salva Kiir Mayardit in condemning the killings of South Sudanese by Sudanese armed forces in Sudan.
Act of terrorism has been a story of South Sudanese during their struggle days, but last week we have seen a live act of terrorism by the inhuman killing of innocent South Sudanese in Sudan when the Sudanese army and their allied group took over Medani. South Sudanese were brutally killed, and we thank the African Union and the chairperson of East Africa Community, IGAD, for their condemnation of what happened to our people, and we call upon the Security Council to join us in our call for the investigation on the killing of our South Sudanese people in Sudan.
Yes, international financial institutions to devising innovative financial approaches to ensure the effective utilization of resources for development and to strengthen Africa's capacity to combating terrorism.
Africa does not need solution imposed from outside, but partnership that recognize and support our capability to solve our own challenges. Mr. President, members of the Council, a critical gap in
the discussions called on the Security Council to reinforce partnerships under Chapter 8 of the United Nations Charter, endorsing African-led peace operation guided by African expertise and local knowledge. South Sudan advances its calls to strengthen financial intelligence systems, enhancing border security frameworks, and promote regional cooperation with technical support from international partners. Reporting for Ssbc News, Mathiang Joseph.
One that recognizes the unique challenges African
Government urges traders to reopen their shops with its protection. Speaking following his meeting with the foreign traders, the Minister of Trade and Industry, Joseph Mo Majak, reaffirms the government's commitment to protecting lives and property, a sentiment echoed by the chairperson of the South Sudan Chamber of Commerce, Industry and Agriculture, Ladu Lukak Lege. The leader of Sudanese business community, Adil Jafar, stresses the importance of working together with the government to creating conducive environment to ensuring peace and mutual respect, respectively.
Today we sat here to reassure our brothers and sisters in Sudan, the traders, and also the other business communities. We sat here today to assure them that the government is in control and their life is a responsibility. Their life and properties are responsible to the government. They will be protected. And if there is another areas that they see government is not able to reach, those who are actually affected already, they let us know so that we can provide more safety and security for those people affected. With this, I want to tell you that we are going to form a task force to monitor the activities that are going on, and we will provide more securities there, and we will do that.
أنا بيجا بناشد السودانيين الفي هنا في جوبا عندهم دقاقين. أنا داير أوريكم يا أخواني ما في زول عدو لكم حسا. حكومة بتاعنا أمنكم تأمين شامل. انتو أمشي أفتحوا دقاقينكم وأقعدوا في بيوتكم وأقعدوا زي قواتكم الزمان، لأنه الحاجة الحصل ده حكومة حصلوا. ما زال حصل في الشمال قتل الناس، لكن هنا حصلوا
المواطنين بتاع شمال السودان. ما في أي حاجة في جوبا، جوبا في أمن وأمان. حتى الناس البر ذات البر من جوبا أخواننا السودانيين في بقاع العالم كلهم شفقانين، بيتصلوا على ناس جوبا ناس جوبا ناس جوبا. كيف نحن في جوبا؟ نحن نقول لكم والله نحن في أحسن حال ومتحركين بحرية تامة وما في أي إشكالية. نحن رجعنا زي ما كنا أول. مهم دي غمة وربنا زالها وربنا يزيد باقي الغمم في كل أنحاء جنوب السودان. ونتمنى لإخواننا في الأقاليم الشرطة موجودة. بلغوا الشرطة أي شيء حصل، بلغوا الشرطة موجودة، الجيش موجود، الأجهزة الأمنية كلها موجودة على هبة استعداد لأي مداهمة تحصل، لأي إشكالية تحصل.
Addressing the opening of the SICAFA Ordinary Assembly in Juba on Wednesday, the National Minister of Youth and Sports, Dr. Joseph Gangakich, underscores the significance of developing the country's sports sector. The president of SICAFA, Wallis Carrier, highlighted the incredible contributions of former Secretary David Masengeni to football development in the region. The president of the South Sudan Football Association, Agustino Madwar Parek, appreciates SICAFA and other partners for their unwavering support, acknowledging FIFA and CHF for their invaluable contributions towards improving the country's sports industry.
Our government has unveiled many programs. Among them, and these are articulated in our Sports Development Policy 2024-2030, is to attract investment in sports. Because we know that as much as governments will prioritize and put resources in sports, it is the private sector that will take the lead. Together with our partners, FIFA and SICAFA, we would like to request that we work closely to attract investment in sports.
Because the unity by Zoom is a unity of CAF, the unity of FIFA, and the motto of FIFA saying, football unite the world. So what we are doing today is a unity. It's a symbol of unity of the FIFA, symbol of unity of CAF, symbol of unity of South Africa. So the symbol of unity of even when you came here is also to unite South Sudan. Football unite the countries, unite the people of the world, and that's why we are here.
We were AGM in Djibouti, and my brother Ahmed told me that it is better we can come to South Sudan because it is the first time to be here, and we have made a history. Therefore, the coming General Assembly will be in Djibouti. Therefore, prepare to go to Djibouti.
The government is optimistic about the national economy recovering as the resumption of oil operations has led to the expected increase in revenue collections from both oil and non-oil revenue sources. With these improved revenues, the Ministry of Finance and Planning expresses its commitment to prioritizing national investment programs such as roads, power plants, and other critical projects in the country. This was discussed on Wednesday in Juba during a meeting that focused on issues related to the harmonization of the Tax Act and the challenges facing institutions in mobilizing revenues and fostering transparency and accountability in resource mobilization to improving the country's economy, as outlined in Chapter 4 of the Revitalized Peace Agreement. Speaking during the meeting, Deputy Minister of Finance and Planning, Bej George, highlighted the collective responsibility of addressing the challenges facing the revenue sector.
We need to address our challenges together, whether you are in SRRA or Petroleum Ministry or Finance. It is our collective responsibility to identify where the challenges are and address them where necessary. If the challenge is to do with the Ministry of Petroleum, we have to come in as a team and see how to address it, not only ministry. If it is Ministry of Finance, we have to address that, so that we collect taxes efficiently without delay. The other one is, once we collect our taxes, then we'll have improved our budget planning.
Media Authority cautions the people of South Sudan within and in the diaspora to refrain from spreading hate speech and incitement through social media platforms following the killings incident in the Sudan conflict. Videos containing graphic contents recently displayed on social media portraying the killing of the South Sudanese nationals and other nationalities by the Sudan Armed Forces in Wad Medini of Al Jazeera State is sparking protests nationwide. Addressing the media after at the Telecom Communication House in Juba, the Managing Director for South Sudan Media Authority, Elijah Alier Kwai, warns legal consequences.
The Media Authority is deeply concerned about the rising instances of hate speech and incitement to violence across digital platforms. Social media users in both Sudan and South Sudan, including those in the diaspora, are urged to refrain from action that may incite violence and promote hatred. Such behaviors are detrimental to the peace and security of both countries. Responsible digital interaction with a sense of humanity is paramount. The digital landscape in Sudan and South Sudan has become a double-edged sword. While it facilitates communication and awareness, it also amplifies misinformation and hate speech. Social media users are reminded that promoting hate speech and sharing graphic content and footages with the intent to incite violence carries legal consequences. Social media should be used responsibly, fostering a sense of humanity and peace. Hatred and violence are not in the interest of our people. They threaten to unravel the bonds that unite us. In our digital interactions, let us uphold the values of responsibility and humanity. Those who perpetuate hate speech and disseminate graphic images with the intent to incite violence must be aware of the legal consequences of their actions. Media houses in South Sudan play a critical role in conflict-sensitive reporting. Your role is crucial in shaping public perception and preventing misinformation. Report with integrity and deep commitment to the principle of journalism. The Media Authority calls on all individuals and institutions to embrace their roles in fostering dialogue, understanding, and peace. By curbing hate speech and promoting responsible communication, we pave the way for more harmonious coexistence between Sudan and South Sudan. Let us remember that peace is not just the absence of conflict. It is the presence of justice, respect, and understanding. Each of us has a role to play in fostering an environment free from hate and violence. It is our collective responsibility to ensure that our voices contribute to harmony, not hostility. The Media Authority remains steadfast in its commitment to promoting freedom of expression and the independence of the media as enshrined in our constitution.
We cross over now to northern Bargadali State's capital, where authorities have recovered the looted property during the protests triggered by the humiliating killings of non-combatant South Sudanese nationals in Wadmedini by the Sudanese army after recapturing the area from the Rapid Support Forces. Ssbc's Mario Solomon reports.
Northern Bargadali State Administration is working hard to maintain the image of a good host to the vast of members of the Sudanese community in the region, especially after the recent violent protests in Awil and elsewhere on Friday and Saturday. Addressing the force in the security organs, Governor Simon Obermawud congratulates all upon the restoring public calm and recovering some of the ransacked property. He says the government will do more in protecting the people and their property.
كلام زي ده ما يزيد نشوفه تاني لأنه ما حصل مرة في تاريخ بتاع ولاية شمال بحر الغزال يحصل حاجة زي ده. الجماعة ديل العصر بتقتلوا فيه وتنابوا حاجات بتاعهم ديل أخوانكم السوق لما قفلوا له عسى 3 يوم عسى قرارات بدأ في هلا الناس بقى جعانين دارين سوق ده يفتحوا ونبتة السوق ده كيف وجماعة ديل لسه ما رجعوا في بيوتهم عشان كده دي مسؤوليتنا كلنا وانا عايز اوريكم بانه من بكره لقدام عندنا شغل تاني انه نمشي نعمل اسسمنت في البيوت عشان الاخوان السودانيين يرجعوا بيوتهم دي مسؤوليتنا.
The State Police Commissioner Major General Basilio Thomas Wani commends the organized force for working diligently to recover some of the looted property and personal assets.
وإن شاء الله هنستمر في تفتيش متى ما توفرت معلومات بأن هنالك مواد مخزنة في أي مكان إن شاء الله. والسيد الحاكم وحكومة الولاية هيقدم إن شاء الله تقرير كامل عن الشيء الحاصل من يوم النهب وحتى يومنا هذا إن شاء الله. هي أيوان ومابير وهناك بالقربة الهاي بالقربة من كوبري كوم. ده المناطق وهي الغابات وهي الزراعة، ده المناطق الشمالات وهي السلام، وده المناطق الشمالات التفتيش. نقوم بتصنيف كل هذه المواد وبنفتح البلاغات بالنسبة للناس اللي تم ضبط المواد بحوزتهم إن شاء الله.
In a separate news development, Governor Obermawud visits Sudanese traders who have been relocated to safe areas on Wednesday. The governor encouraged all Sudanese business persons, particularly those at Matiang Police Headquarters, to return to their homes and resume their business activities, assuring them of security guarantees.
أولاً أنا جاي نختزل نيابة الحكومة والشعب بتاع ولاية شمال بحر الغزال. لأنه العسل ده ما في زول مقصود خالص. ونحن كلنا عارفينه في كل مجتمع في ناس كويسين وفي ناس ولا زول بيعرف ربنا ولا بيعرف حاجة اسمه إنسانية. وده السبب القلانة نكون في الوضع اللي نحن موجودين فوق الليلة. فأنا برضو جاي نعقد لكم بين الوضع الآن تسيطر تماما، وجاي نقول نحن من يوم الليلة أنا عايز كل زول يرجع بيته. أنا مبارك كنت مع الرئيس بالجهلي سيد الفاضل داك ده بنقعد حكومة مع المسؤولين بتاعكم، لكن احنا دايرين الوضع ده عندنا مشاكل بتاع الكوليرا والأطفال ديل عشان ينوموا في البرد وبعوضة ووضع هي ذاته ما بيسمع لهم تاني يقعدوا هنا. ونحن كحكومة أمن الوضع أمن التأمين في محله وكل زول ما يخاف تاني.
Northern Bargadali State Administrations persuades all members of the Sudanese community to coexist peacefully with their brothers and sisters in the host communities. For Ssbc News, Mario Suleiman.
That's it from me and the team with me, Matiang Joseph, and thank you for tuning in. Stay tuned for more programs coming up.
Erunne duen wane jele Kian riran lalik En kornyan la pioje Alwela nier jidim Kwa ya yuge ya pio zaman dia edim Nyan yar en jiro kwen Erunin badom mi ya pio Jiran jagan kwen Nyedia jir jebat In badom jire ya jebat Nyedia jir jebat In badom Jiraya jebat In jegaran panyal In nanjamar nomzuru Wewai miade pyo bay Kuyan jelu yukuru Dolly, you give me happiness, you are my jolly My dolly, you give me happiness, you are my jolly My dolly, 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 dolly You are my dolly You give me happiness, you are my jolly Darling, darling, let me love you, my shorty Baby, baby, let me love you, my shorty Kidianjara ino, jinge bella tere And jamming and near, kudu basa yaping Timbe in kupiangaron, yine jetin ton yalam Ani adem gu yine kawa, baby yine kalam Natural beauty, arara tira chirgun Wop da juwe lotion, and even never jil doranyon Natural beauty, mega like you something I tell with your lotion, and even never jil doranyon Dolly, you give me happiness, you are my jolly My dolly You give me happiness, you are my jolly My dolly, 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 dolly You are my dolly You give me happiness, you are my jolly Dolly, you give me happiness, you are my jolly My dolly, you give me happiness, you are my jolly My dolly, 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 dolly
viewers, you are watching SSBC Live in our studios right here in Juba. Viewers of this special interview. Of course, we are here having a special interview in our studios. It's actually an exclusive interview that you'll be able to follow us if you're just with us. We are bringing you this program right here with none other than who is an ambitious leader, very courageous, and you should be able, I think, to know him in a short time. As I'm trying to introduce you to him, he had actually done a lot. He went through many of his careers. He had actually served Sudan from many companies and many organizations that had been going through. He actually served as the president of the Union of Artists in South Sudan, encouraging young people to come up with many activities that has actually left a legacy. And he has become also an encouraging leader as a youth, encouraging young people to do many activities in their career. And at the same time, he also became the Minister of Youth and Sports in South Sudan, one of the states that is Bantu Unity State. He served there for quite a little bit long. And at the same time, looking at him as emerging into his ambition, he is serving as Undersecretary in the Ministry of Dams and Bridges, Dams and Energy and Dams Projects. Right here with me in the studio, he is none other than Lam Tungwar. With me in the studio here, I think he'll be able to elaborate more on his career. And now he is a technocrat. Looking at that, he went through many. Lam Tungwar, nice having you on board in this special program, in this exclusive interview. Take your floor.
It's my pleasure, and thank you to SSBC, particularly in this particular show. It is my privilege and opportunity also to share all the views that are meant for my docket that I'm working on, and it is my great pleasure, and I really appreciate to be here.
Lam Tungwar, you are serving right now from all this long, looking at your career. It's been quite a little bit difficult. In 1 minute, can you try to tell the young people outside and the viewers from day one, 2005 to death, you have been hard working and looking at your career. People may not be knowing where you're going. You're going very fast and looking at you having a spirit of nationalism, serving your country. You have traveled in many countries. As far as your career is concerned and looking at actually, I think you may be having a vision. Can you try to tell?
Indeed. Well, it's a short story. Many people here in South Sudan know each other.
Great.
And we see ourselves grow within the leadership, and we really appreciate the opportunities our leaders are giving us to nurture us to be the men we become and to be the youth leaders we become. Until now, we are reaching into management roles in senior positions. We begin as political activists, through poetry, music, and arts, culture, and we move on through those realms and until I become the chairperson of a steering committee for the National Youth Union of South Sudan. I have done a convention. His Excellency the President was present. I ensure that leadership, I was the founder of what I did, so that today if you hear of Youth Union of South Sudan, I actually did the stitches with Honorable Nadia Orobdudi and Honorable Josephine Napont. They were very instrumental in terms of building the youth at that particular time. Then after that, I ended up being appointed as a State Minister of Information in the Unity State Government during the crisis. And I did what I did in terms of making sure that our informations are really passed in the right way possible, and also we mobilize people to, to fuse the tension between the warring parties who are actually conflicting and almost taking a tribalism lines. And yet we are here as a government, as a country. We did what we did as a minister at that time, and I served in that ministry for quite a long time until I was appointed again to be a Minister of Physical Infrastructure, which is housing and public utility, and I did what I did. That was a very technical ministry, and we did a lot, and we cooperate. Apart from all those constitutional posts, there are others to do with political landscape that you have to view
within the government. I grew up within the Red Army, within the SPLA, and I've come up through the SPLM, and this is the docket I've been through for all these years, and that is my lines of growth. And I really honored and I appreciate my leadership for nurturing me, from the president and to the rest of many leaders in the country that have actually seen me through. And you know, being mentors mean a lot for us, and we see through their eyes and through their deeds and activities that they do every day in leading our country to prosperity. Right now, I am currently serving as Undersecretary of Ministry of Energy and Dam, which is a very complex institution with a lot of requirement, a lot of potential, a lot of you know, a lot of progress that is required, and a lot of attention from the public, given that the utilities and the subsidiaries that it runs are the backbone of our economic and our also basic necessities.
Great, Lam, to chop you here a little bit short. You know, looking at your career at the moment, you have actually served this nation for quite a little bit. We look at South Sudan as a whole, a courageous leader like you, if we could have more than 10 that could actually have that ambitious idea that comes up with such an idea, with you looking at the combining this idea together, I think South Sudan will be one of the greatest country ever. And you have you are courageous and having an ambitious ideas to encourage the young people looking into that. Now you went to as far as the political wing, as you've been serving in the state, that is Unity State. You served our ministries as a politician, and at the same time, now you're brought as a technocrat in a very technical ministry. That is to say, energy and dams. And what is your take?
Well, we learn through, and we are very patient. You know, as young leaders, we are not trying to be very fast in the growth, but also we need to take our time, because the more you are faster, the more you can actually break yourself and jump a few things that actually can cement you to be the stronger person that you can be and serve your nation as well. So beginning with this position that I'm in at this moment, my take is very positive, because it is the right place for me to be active. It's the right place for me to actually learn more. It's the right place for me you know, to make my own model of leadership and progress that I can do, and also effect change within the countries as required by the leadership. Electricity as a basic commodity is not easy to handle.
I think before we jump into that, now that Lam Tungor as Undersecretary in the Ministry of Energy and Dams, you already have a legacy in this duration of time from CPA to date, and you're already serving the nation. How do you look into these projects at the moment, as we are into, and as far as you are already a technocrat in that ministry of energy and dams, encouraging the young people and looking at actually you being spearheading a key role in playing this with the stakeholders into in its success?
Well, I could not say that we are only the best that have been picked by among the other youth by the leadership or by the president. We are not the best, but we are part of those young people that are actually being put into the system to start working, because all of us, we cannot fix ourselves, or we cannot pit all together as young people at the same time. We have to be tried by the leadership in certain leadership areas that we can be working. It's not only the youth person that is now in the leadership. We have a lot of undersecretaries that are serving in different docket within the institution of South Sudan. And for me, I'm seeing it as an opportunity, and young people should definitely be motivated by seeing us being grown, coming into this position through thin and thick, and through hard work, through progress, through appreciation and recognition by the leadership and the commitment. They must know that there's a future. And that's why they had to start working hard, take education very serious, also accept the challenges of progress. They must learn through the hardship of it by getting to know what they are doing. Even being, you know, a bachelor degree holder or a PhD holder doesn't qualify you probably to be the successful person in any docket, but you have to learn. You have to learn through what your environment is, what your people are in need of, what your leadership want, what is the direction of the country, and this is exactly where we are in. For me, I take those as an opportunities. I don't take them as challenges. I take them as opportunities for me to express my knowledge and what I need, what I know, and what I can do to express. Everything just needs ethic. Everything needs ethic. It needs leadership. Not only require you being qualified as an educated person or somebody who have worked in multiple areas, or a great politician or orator.
Great. That comes to
that
comes to the question of your legacy now. You are the Under Secretary in the Ministry of Energy and Dams. What is your take?
My take in this institution,
as
I said, it is a very complex. It is the center of our own people. It is the center of the basic need of South Sudan. If I can actually reach out to you, if we talk about the basic necessities that the people need, we're talking of water, we're talking of electricity, we're talking of road, we're talking of sewage line, we're talking of security. These are some of the vital, and health. These are the vital needs that people need, including food. These are things that everybody needs every single day, and electricity is a part of those 6 or 7 needs that our people need every single day. With the center of development in terms of the 21st century, where people are in a civilized environment,
South Sudanese at the moment have that greatest expectation towards you, looking at actually this is one of the tangible ministry in actually encouraging South Sudanese people, and you have the vision and looking at actually implementation of projects. As you have just come to your position as actually maneuvering this, what have you tried to touch at your
I have tried to do my assessment for the last 100 days. I've been in the office now for 3 months and few days, and I've actually worked together with diverse technical people who are mechanical engineers, electrical engineers, consultants who are expert into this, legal people, all others partners, because my ministry has a line ministry that is working with others, and we're trying to make sure that we actually expedite the sufficient supply of energy in South Sudan entirely. That everybody needs to be connected with electricity. It is a part of the human right. It is a part of the right. It is a part of the directive of the leadership. Under our leadership, under our president, His Excellency President General Ssbc added that everybody in South Sudan must get my dividend, the dividend of electricity. That everybody needs to have a light in their own house so that their children can read. They can actually have a good hospital that is lightened up. There must be good things that is around our environment, beautification of the city. There must be other electronic and other accessories that is in the household that require electricity. Apart from all those, much of our own basic need are actually depend on factories, manufacturers. Without that, we cannot have factories in South Sudan, and it is a part of an expeditious way of working so fast so that we have enough sufficient supply of electricity in South Sudan so that commodities can actually come down. It is twisted with the economic itself. With no electricity, you don't have factory.
Now that Lam, you are Under Secretary in the Ministry of Energy and Dams, you are launching one of these days your event. And what does it mean to the people of South Sudan?
Well, the launching is the support that South Sudan got from the World Bank. World Bank, as we as a part of the international community, as South Sudan, as the youngest country, the World Bank, it is within their own responsibility that grant come to South Sudan in multiple areas of health, of humanitarian, of energy, and of education. And we, as a part of the energy sector, we have this funding. And that funding is what we are launching on the 16th, and to show to South Sudan exactly what grant do we have from the World Bank. And what will the grant do to South Sudan to impact our life. And this grant is very important because it's going to the expansion of Juba electricity. It is actually covering mini-grid in Yei. It is also covering solarization of all the school, 40 school, and solarization of 50 hospitals across the country. Also, it's a part of capacity building for all engineers in South Sudan. And all those who have deserted the Ministry of Energy and Dam must actually come back, because that is where now they can actually elevate their knowledge, renew their capacity within electricity and within energy sector. And we are doing that with this fund. And these funds are funds that have been given to the government of South Sudan. We are the one now who are the custodian to manage it and to see that the realization of this money goes into the right channel that is required for it. That is our
right now in your position, you are ready to implement many projects, working with your stakeholders, looking at World Bank funding. We have an issue to do with power in Juba capital, not only Juba, across South Sudan as a whole. look at projects that actually bring the hydroelectric power that could supply the whole of South Sudan. Do you have that in plan?
The hydropower, which is the renewable energy, of course, it doesn't pollute the environment because it comes through the water, it comes through the air. That is now the vision South Sudan has. It is within the strategy of the leadership that will reach into that capacity to make sure that hydro, for example, Biden, for example, Pula, definitely the government will come into those because we'll have our own power supply within South Sudan. But for now, we're doing all the necessary remedies to ensure that whatever we're actually having right now, it is a very much a small magnitude of power supply that we already have. But the government, your leadership, your country is going there to have an hydro so that the whole South Sudan is connected.
Now, personally, you,
yeah.
Lam, being actually in that position, is spearheading South Sudanese people into these projects. Personally, do you have that ambition of the hydroelectric power to be generated in South Sudan on your own ambition?
In long run, South Sudan need to have a sufficient supply of power, not only just sufficient, but also cheaper. Cheaper at the lower cost that even a person who don't have salary in South Sudan will be able to afford it. This is exactly a commodity that is consumable like water. You need electricity every day. When you are in your house and you don't have power for 2 hours or 5 hours or 10 hours in the night, will you be comfortable? You will be irritated, right? Because you need it for a number of things. You need to actually connect your computer and work. You need your child to read. You need to go to hospital. You need power.
But this is now based in the main cities of South Sudan.
That's why I'm saying that
and
the vision.
Now looking at the vision.
The vision of our country is in place. That we'll have our own hydropower sooner or later. But those things come with strategy, come with plan, come with financial accumulation, come with everything so that our government can be able to fund and start constructing hydropower. That will definitely be covering everything else. But for now, we're actually having power in Juba, a minimum one that we're actually surviving on, and we're actually increasing it more to make sure that we get more power from our neighboring countries, whereby we'll actually buy their own surplus and we'll actually connect it so that we can use it. Something that is more moderate, more cheaper, that will be sustainable for our people for a time. In the state, we already have power in Wau. We're having power in Rang, we're having power in Rumbek, we're having power in Yambio, we're having power in Nimili and Kaya. We're connecting in Bor, we have power as well, and we're going on bit by bit. We're covering up all those areas with mini-grid. Mini-grid means it is isolated setup of solar plant or a generator that is consuming HFO that is being used in those states for time being. Until now, a major connection, which is a mega power project, will come into force, and it will definitely be spreading across the country.
In 10 years' time, what would be the projects for in the grassroots, looking at those who are not accessing powers?
That's exactly.
Looking at actually this. You're an ambitious leader looking at the moment. You are in the system of this direction that takes people into this. People have a expectation in the grassroots, and they look at you as a very potential into
Yes. Not only just being looked at as a potential. I need my country to have a sustainable power that only not benefiting the state headquarters. It had to go into the grassroots, into the people that are in the villages, so that they can actually have their own agricultural good, put into the right shape, used rightly, preserved, and brought it to where the market is, that is in capital in Juba. And that's exactly what we are doing. In 10 years' time, you'll have your hydropower. I'm very sure my leadership, with the potential that we have, we're going there. By the way, let me tell you this. One important thing for development, for economic growth, is enough supply of power. If you don't have that, you will not have factory bita simsim. You will not have millet factory. You will not have metal factory. You will not have cement factory. You will not have other things. The small thing that you need here for your growth will not be available, and you need power for those. That's why leadership have put it as one of the priorities for development.
You have mentioned something very important, vital, looking at actually agriculture itself.
Yeah.
And this is the main source of power that actually can generate, looking at irrigation and looking at South Sudan as a virgin land, and again looking at the land fertile in South Sudan as a whole. We have no production in South Sudan. What is the vision over that, looking at actually that?
And that's why I was saying before, the center of development, the center of economic growth, the center for success and prosperity rely on enough energy supply. Unless we're actually running a very remote environment, which we cannot. We're a developed country. We're an independent, separate state that had to have everything in their own means. And power is one of the things that we're actually doing. And now we're expediting, we're pushing our leadership to prioritize our budget, prioritize, making sure that we build the hydropower, that hydro dam need to be done as soon as possible, connected. We're pushing our government to have enough transmission line connected across South Sudan from north to south, from east to west, and with no discrimination. And we're doing everything we can. In Juba alone right now, I'm pushing so hard so that I can reach the threshold of connecting 80% of Juba city alone before I go toward the west, before I go toward the east, before I go toward the south and the north. This is the headquarters where our leadership dwell. And I'm now fighting that hard so that we have 80% connected. Only 30% is connected at this moment. That is accessing electricity. I needed to actually have 80% accessing electricity, and that's my role. We're working on those directives. We have clear directive from our leadership that this is our job, this is our mandate, and we have to work on. With my minister, we are working right and left to make sure that something is done. And our partners are very serious, the utilities. We're making sure that all these things are put into ideas, and we will not just be talking. People need to see a reduced tariff.
Now you are talking about,
not just talking.
You are talking on your partners. Would you be able to tell us 2 or 3 more looking at World Bank? Could you be having some other companies and looking at this? Would you be able to tell the people of South Sudan to know some of these implementers are the stakeholders that are dealing with them? The ministry is not working alone. Works hand in hand with the partners. Would you be able to?
Indeed, the first person doing everything with priority, with authorization from the leadership, is the government of South Sudan, trying to actually make sure that feasibilities, the first electricity that was done in this country is through our own government, our own government funding, 17 megawatts. It's from our government, from our very own. But right now we have come in with the partners. Being a global part of entities, or one of the country around the world, part of the United Nations and utilities, we're a part of the market. So now we have African Development Bank coming in. Like all this transmission line you're seeing, it comes through the grant of African Development Bank, and then now we have the World Bank coming in.
That's great. We'll continue from there. Alam Tungar, we are going for a short break. Viewers of this special edition in this exclusive interview, I had been with Lam here, Tungar, who is the Undersecretary in the Ministry of Energy and Dams, actually a young person and looking at actually very ambitious leader as Undersecretary, trying to actually spearhead the ministry into implementation of many projects that actually South Sudan will benefit a lot. And we are going for that short break. We will be right back as we continue with our discussion in this exclusive interview. Don't go away. Try to stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back from that short break, viewers. Wherever you are following us in this special exclusive interview with Undersecretary in the Ministry of Energy and Dams, who is none other than Lam Tungar, actually an ambitious leader who is actually trying to spearhead, being an exemplary to the young people from CPA to death, now and South Sudan becoming a different country, I think such people could be important to us in actually looking at actually the areas that could be discovered and explored in. And being with me in the studio, Undersecretary in the Ministry of Energy and Dams, Lam Tungwar, very energetic,
thank you,
aspiring and looking at actually very ambitious. Where are you heading?
I followed the footstep of our leaders, much more focused, much more with vision and integrity, and we're going through that direction, and we will make sure that we implement what is needed. As young people, of course, when you are given an opportunity, it is very excellent for you to execute your job with ethic, with dignity, with integrity, with success, and not just looking on how you can actually better yourself. This is exactly what I am in, and I believe where I've been put by our leadership, by His Excellency the President, is a very challenging institution, and I'm very careful about it every day to day, because that's something that had to do with the people. People are focused on the little thing. If the tariffs are too high for electricity, the bulk is too expensive for our people. They cannot afford that, and we're working to make sure that we reduce everything possible in a level whereby they will be able, to afford it. Not only that, other people are not connected. We are ensuring that they're all connected with electricity. You never build a city on charcoal or firewood. And this is my vision,
you are a visionary leader. Looking at one of the quotes of one of the revolutionaries in this context, who is none other than John Garang, and in his leadership today, taking towns to the people. That means where you are is the rightful place for towns to be taken to the people. People need power, water, that is through energy and dams, and which is one of the very important activity which would actually benefit the people of South Sudan. Agriculturally, looking at actually in many as a backbone of the country, which is also South Sudan is subsistence farming country, which is actually in terms of production and looking at that. What do you have to say?
Well, taking time to the people, of course, indeed, we have learned that in these few days, even in these few months, people desert the states and they come to the capital just because of many reasons. If they don't have electricity connected, if you don't have good hospital, if they don't have decent, clean water for drinking, if they don't have good school, they will, and they are insecure, they will definitely come to the capital, whereby the headquarters is here with every component. They will come here. To avoid that, it is a part of our plan. I've visited many areas right now. I've gone to WOW to check everything. I've gone to Yei just to check what is going on within the local government over there. What can we do as a Ministry of Energy and Dam for them, who are custodian of electricity? What can we do in cooperation with the state government, in cooperation with my own utilities like South Sudan Electricity Corporation? We are doing everything to make sure that people stay in the state. The more you have grassroots population, the more you'll have a lot of food baskets coming from the state.
People staying in
That's
the
where
state.
they're working.
People staying in the state.
We have to get them.
Looking at your ministry, people stay in the states. These are components of energy and dams. Security, looking at it as a component. Looking at energy and dams. This is actually an extension into that. What do you have in collaboration?
Well, electricity or energy is a very big vital part of security. Like, for example, today, if you put off this little power we have here in Ezra for 48 hours, you will have a lot of people talking about it. It doesn't matter. If people have to sabotage that, so that means it is a part of our national security concern. As a ministry, we are actually holding that vital organ of the institution in the government, and we must actually be very careful about how we operate it. We are doing everything our best to make sure that our state, which has the majority of our population. The population in Juba is not like the state.
Great.
So we are making sure that they reach the basic need reach to them.
That is a very great point.
The basic need have to be reached to them because they are the majority. They are the majority down there.
Let us look into that. What are the policies of the Ministry of Energy and Dams into working with this, in collaboration with these stakeholders, looking at World Bank being one of them, and some other partners? Taking the services to the grassroots. What is their security? Are you trying to tell us?
Our plan, our strategy, are within the constitution's mandate of the government of South Sudan. And we are very keen in following those mandates because we have a role. We are a term of reference as a ministry. Every ministry doesn't need to overlap with others. Our responsibility to ensure that there is sufficient supply of power across South Sudan. That's our objective. And we must begin it with what we have in our own hand. Whatever the government has right now is what we make sure that we expedite so that it can reach to point B, from point A to point B. And that is the electricity, to connect our household, to ensure that our people, our schools are connected, to make sure that we have factory in the country. We must have a sufficient supply of power so that factories that can actually produce the basic needs are actually done right here so that our development, our economic growth can actually rely on this. And that is our mandate. Our mandate are very clear, to ensure that power is there in the country.
But for the safety of these stakeholders, looking at the companies, World Bank is pouring funding actually the ministry as one of your policies, the safety of these companies to the grassroots and looking at the opportunities that have given the government as they work together as partners in implementation of these projects.
We thank the World Bank for their support, and we also thank our country, our government with the cooperation that they have with the World Bank, because they have cooperated in many projects, not only in the energy sector. We have a lot to do with health sector, education sector, humanitarian sector. The World Bank is doing a lot in those areas. And we thank the World Bank for their cooperation. This money they are putting is money that they are putting into the right project. Our work is to supervise, to ensure that the project is implemented. We have nothing to do with holding the money ourselves as a ministry and start looking for somebody to put it. The World Bank themselves are supervising how the money reach into those contractors. Our work as a ministry is to make sure that the contractors do the job that is required according to the law.
How many projects are you ready to implement in your term of office at the moment? You are looking at actually achievement and success.
Well, success is that we have actually connected a number of houses since the time I was in my ministry. I and my minister, we have done everything to connect all the households that does not have connection. We are doing more with the World Bank funding. We will actually connect 20,000 more houses in Juba, which almost covered almost everywhere. That means every gray area that is not connected with electricity or JETCO will definitely be connected. That's number one. Number two, we'll have a solarization whereby we'll actually connect 40 schools across South Sudan. That means 10 state and 3 administrative areas will be connected. 50 hospitals will definitely be connected. That is state hospital. With solarization whereby you do not cut, even know what, because you don't have any services to do with that. Renewable energy is very simple. You don't have to manage it with fuel. You don't need fuel for it. You just need batteries that are being maintained. And they will lighten up your own refrigerators. There are some medicine that require cool areas, that doesn't need hot environment. That is it. For school, children will be able to read even in the night.
What do you have to say on behalf of South Sudan having 10 states and looking at actually the major towns? Juba is actually that accommodates many people, while Malakal and the 3 administrative areas that are actually lacking at all, not even having that. What are your vision over that?
Well, we have spread it across. All the 50 schools will go to the 10 state and the 3 administrative areas, divided already with matrix that is clear on our table as a ministry. We're implementing it through the Ministry of Health. If it is a project of education, we're implementing it through the Ministry of Education, and later on with the state government. The governor and their own ministerial areas and institution, we're maintaining everything, and we're actually managing even through the commissioners in the state. Like, for example, we have a project in Yei. We have 13 million project in Yei that is for building 5 megawatt solar plant in Yei. That 1.2 thermal engine generator that is already in existence, because Yei is an agricultural hub, is a business hub. It has a population of 500,000 and above, and we're connecting that through the commissioner, through the Minister of Housing and Public Utility of Central Equatorial State, through the governor, Jadala. We're working together conjointly to make sure that project is succeeded. The same thing to the other state like that. We're working in diverse. Here in Central Equatoria, in the capital of Juba, we're working with all the partners in the ministries, in the institution of South Sudan, including the Ministry of Finance.
Now let us look beyond South Sudan. We look beyond South Sudan. South Sudan is neighboring many countries. We look at Ethiopia, Kenya, we got Uganda, Democratic Republic of Congo. What do you have in partnership with these countries in implementation of these projects looking at actually?
Right now, we in the Ministry of South Sudan is a part of the East African Power Pool. East African Power Pool is whereby we are a part of East African, we can trade. We can trade in electricity, we can trade in food, we can trade in oil, we can trade in transportation, we can trade in the medical correspondence, everything we're doing it. And right now we're a part of East African Power Pool whereby we can actually take power from Uganda and actually have it here in South Sudan. Like right now we will have 400 kV, a lot of power from Uganda, from Karuma Dam, from Uganda, and we'll actually install it in our country here. It's a part of that, it's a part of that trade. Like Ugandan are bringing their supply. They have a big market here whereby we actually consume. They bring food items and we actually consume them. That is also a market. It's the same thing we are trading. You have a market here, the Ugandan can bring their own food items, you will buy them from here.
Intercontinental, what could be some of the challenges? Of course, in all these you have been mentioning and looking at it, what could be some of the challenges that is actually trying to touch you into implementation of some of these projects? Because you are not working alone.
Yeah.
And
sometimes
the technical people who are supposed to deliver these services may not be enough. The work plan and looking at actually the service delivery and the professional people who are supposed to actually spearhead and take these projects into the expected areas.
The biggest plan, the biggest challenge, if you talk of East Africa or Eastern Africa, it is because of different constitutions implementation in those areas. The different law and legal parameters in those areas, that could be the challenges, because anything that can take maybe 1 week, that can be expedited quickly and be here, maybe can take time. Because the law in Uganda is their law. The law we have in South Sudan is our law. There are things that actually guide the market, guide the institution, government institution, guide business people, guide our own borders of entry. Everything needs to be done in a certain way, and those are the only differences where we have. Sometimes we can be used. People can use us because maybe we don't have other alternatives. We can only use this. And that is exactly where we're actually trying to be independent. Even through the energy, we need to be having our own hydropower in long run. We need to have our own supply of our own. We need to have our own grid, transmission line connected. Of course, we're blessed to have a lot of engineers. We have technical people across the country, well educated, experience of almost 30 years. Some are elders, some are young people. They're here. And we'll make sure that we make use of that so that we can have our own generated.
Now that you have recognized that you have got a lot of experience,
so everything needs to be done
people who are having experience, specialize in those fields, and looking at the challenges you have been mentioning, let us come to the mechanism towards this. You have potential people who could deliver some of these services. We are looking now at what could be some of the mechanisms to bring up these people to implement these projects in a short period of time, not taking of course it's a long-term and short-term projects that would go.
Well, our people are people who have ethic of work. They love to actually practice what they have at their knowledge, God-given, and that is the advantage we have as South Sudanese. They love to work. They need to do something. Now they are not focused on having this conflict anymore. They are focusing on actually development and liberating themselves through work, through having their own thing to be peaceful coexistence and everything that is it. And that's exactly what I'm doing right now. For my 100 days, I'm actually calling all the engineers that are out there, those who deserted, those who go to NGO, those who go on private, and to come and actually help their own government in implementing this kind of project. Because this kind of project need a lot of people. It need consultants on different fields. Legal people are required. Electrical engineers are required. Mechanical engineers are required. Other people who knows about something here, even economists are needed in this. Because everything is translated into income generation later on.
Lam Tungwa, that is a very technical, it is very technical, and you're a technocrat. It's very technical. You mentioned those stakeholders and those who actually have gone into NGOs who have experiences leaving the government to work. It is very technical to actually bring back those who have experiences, who have run away with companies and some other NGOs, and to bring them out to work. And it's very technical to actually bring these people in terms of actually people are looking at salary. Look at the situation, what do you have to say?
We are pushing them to come back. Reason being, this country, some people actually lost their life during the liberation of this country. And they did not even get a single cent. They did not get a coin in their own pocket, but they died. Their children exist. They serve the country with their life. What about we who are alive, who can only have their own skill put into the work and do something for 100,000 people? What is wrong with that? It is more than just going for NGO and start sitting out there when you have a mind that can actually do something for your own country. Some of it is about patriotism. It's about nationhood. It's about country. It's about leadership. Some people lost their life during the liberation. Some of them are here right now. Some of our leaders that you're seeing are liberators. They have done everything they can. They never see their children those days of war for 10 years, for 5 years, and they're out of their own family. But they're committed.
Because of time,
Yeah.
I think,
So,
would you be able to wind up and looking at actually what we had been discussing about your projects and looking at your career, and at the same time looking at what you are today in service delivery to the people, being a technical person in the ministry as a technocrat who is actually trying to empower the young people. And the people of South Sudan have high hopes in this ministry as one of the ministries that actually is looked at as a power that can light South Sudan as a whole, and at the same time looking at actually in other projects to be implemented, power must be there in the dams.
Yes,
What do you have to say finally?
What I need to say, first of all, I need to thank the leadership for the opportunity that have been given to us, not because we are only the best. It is because of their own say, what they say now, go and try this. That one I really need to appreciate our leader. I also need to appreciate our communities, our citizens for being resilient and being patient. I know energy is something that you need now. Electricity is a commodity that is required and it's consumable and they need it today. As long as we are working on this path, I like their patience and let them wait. We are coming there. We will reduce the tariffs. We'll make sure that connections are done in every household. You know, some of the things will change so that you will have a sufficient supply. You will have household being connected. We will have our street lighten up and we'll have everything that is available in our own midst so that we can open the factory. So we are doing that. I also need to appreciate our youth for being supportive for us. For those who are in the offices, young people are supporting the idea and they are coming up. They are actually leaving the language and the character of violence into a character of being professional. You know, trying to be...
Shortly before you conclude, I think, are you working hand in hand with the young people to bring you fresh ideas in your projects and in your implementation of this, being an ambitious leader?
Most definitely. You know, even our old people are young in the heart. The young people are young in the heart at the same time, and they are fresh, and they're active, and they're motivated. We're working across. The elders, you need them because they have the history. They know legacy. What you're supposed to do. They will advise you rightly. The young people, you need them because they are motivated, and they can actually run 24 hours to make sure that something actually delivers.
Thank you.
So you combine the two, and you will actually have a success.
Thank you for that exclusive interview. Viewers of this is special exclusive program with Lam Tungar, who is none other than the Undersecretary in a very technical ministry that is to say energy and dams. That is actually to supply South Sudan as a whole, having a lot of projects that South Sudan is actually eyeing into that ministry as a source of power, and actually being a technocrat, looking at actually how it can go across the country in South Sudan. We have come to the end of this special program. Let us continue watching the rest of our programs on your national broadcaster. My name is Soro David, your host. As we say, bye for now. Thank you so much for having you.
Thank you, Soro David. Thank you.
On board.
Thank you very much.
Great,
Appreciate it.
Pleasure having you with us.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
ما دول ده وحكير كلهم سوا ما تقولوا ده acting وده لا كلهم سوا and it is 3 years that it is the bless of the leadership ما في عمل براو. So really I thank them very much for giving me this chance. We have done a lot, my dear colleague. We have achieved many things for the country and for our minister. All of you are aware what we have done. All this, I will say that the new Undersecretary, Honorable Mary, was part and parcel of all these achievements. She was part and parcel of this achievement, whether as the Director of Legislation or the Deputy Chair of the Task Force in the Ministry of Justice. Ajaa Mary da الزول أنا كنت معتمد عليه في all what we have achieved. That means that, don't worry, my colleague, the legal counsel. He will do the best. What I have left behind, Mary will complete it. I want to tell all of you that all of us are human beings. Mafizol absolute can do everything. It is true that we have done, I am the minister, deputy minister, in this era, many achievements recognized by the country. But also, there are things might be we left behind internally for this institution. If this happens, please forgive me. And I'm telling you that, first, it is not my intention. I cannot please all people. There are people who think that the way, the style I demonstrate might be also others will think that there is something I did not done for them. But I tell you that to send a signal to anybody that we are united. And this is the matter of assignment. If the Hatagor Makahoma Domra Kulu, Lo Warsin also Lugan Gina, Taban for sure. Everybody have his own era. For me, I will thank God that Zolmin, assistant legal counsel with my rest of colleagues, and I read the level of the undersecretary. I'm glad that I lived with Sunda has a daraja, and I'm proud that I saved all of you in this ministry. And for sure, I left something behind. I will not say I left a legacy, but all of you know, and within this period, with my minister and deputy minister, what we have done. For please, Mary not starting from scratch. Mary have something we left behind, and I'm sure she will continue with all those assignments and will be successful.
Greeting you all this afternoon in the name of Jesus. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, let me start by thanking the outgoing Undersecretary, Dr. Jibril. There is something maybe some of you knows and some they don't know. We met with Jibril when we were in the university, and we became friends from that time. Jibril is a friend to my husband, and we name ourselves. He is Hassan because we are twins. We used to go and read together. He's Hassan and I'm Hasina. So throughout when we were in this ministry, we used to call ourselves Hassan and Hasina. Thank you, Dr. Jibril, for that. A lot has been said from the previous speakers on the challenges and achievements of the Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs. And since I'm one of the people, as Molana Felberto put it very well, let me put myself that we are the founders of this particular ministry. I think all these challenges, we went over it together, all of you. So there is nothing new. And I don't want to bother myself and to bother you by putting promises and empty promises. This is not the right time. What I will do is that I will be meeting individually and departmentally just to hear the challenges of each directorate. And I will do my best. I know the situation we are in will not allow us to execute some of the functions. One of them is that we have the strategic plan of the Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, the 2023-2024. We need to implement that strategic plan. Though there are a lot of challenges, as some of you are aware, but we will try our best with your support. And I thank you all, in particular the previous speakers, putting that you will be supporting me. When I was sitting down there, I want to fly because I got a support before I resume my duties from my colleagues. And that one alone, it's commitment from the colleague within the ministry. And I'm sure if I go up to the last person there, he will commit himself or herself saying that they will support me. Therefore, I really appreciate your support. When I resume my duty, I will be counting upon you. And I'm sorry I will be calling. Good enough I have the numbers of the legal counsel all over the South Sudan. So what I will do, I will be calling just to request from assistance from you. Because at the end of the day, we want to achieve, we want development within the Ministry of Justice. Today, when I took swear, I committed myself for the second time. The first time when I was a legal counsel. But now the duty changed, and I'm still committed to the same commitment that I will protect, uphold the Constitution, and I will help the people of South Sudan and the welfare of the people of South Sudan. Take it from me that this is the only commitment I meet with some of you. Because if I declare something now, I may not know exactly what the other people are doing. In particular, I'm hearing from the non-legal counsel. I know you have a lot of... Again, I want to give thanks to His Excellency, the President of the Republic of South Sudan, for appointing me. People were saying this is the first female to be an undersecretary in the legal field. That is true. But I'm hoping that this should not end up with me. We have other female counsel are coming. So this is an open way for us in the Ministry of Justice, in Bar Association, in Law Society, and in the women lawyers. Let us work hard to fulfill the requirement of the Constitution. The other things I want to commit myself is that Dr. Jibril mentioned that 4 things. Let me commit, Dr. Jibril, that I will fulfill. That is your footstep, but I will put my foot on yours, and we move this ministry forward. Because I cannot work without you people.
Honorable Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, Justice Robert Madol, Honorable Justice John Gerwich, Deputy Chief Justice, Honorable Under Secretary, Minister of Justice, Honorable Mary James Ajit, Honorable Advocate Arop Malwet, Chairperson of Bar Association, President of Bar Association, Honorable Dr. Jibril Isaac, former Under Secretary, Senior Legal Counsel, Council of Minister of Justice, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. First of all, I would like to appreciate Excellency President of the Republic of South Sudan, General Salva Kiir Mayardit, for trust that passed on upon Honorable Mary to be Under Secretary in the Ministry of Justice. As a Deputy Minister of Justice, I don't have much to say, but I will advise my new Under Secretary and my sister, because advice can go up or down. You can advise your children, you can advise your colleague, and you can advise your leader. It's only our privileges to make it. Honorable Mary, Dr. Jibril, he did a lot. Dr. Jibril put foundation for you, and you have to come and to complete the rest. What is not been done by Jibril is not Jibril alone. If there are any failure, it's not Jibril alone. Because we are a leadership. That means we fail, all of us, to do it, from minister, deputy minister, and others. Blame cannot go to former undersecretary. But what I want to advise you, we need to work as a team, and you have to respect protocol. You have to start down, going up. It's very important. And we will work together. Because admin and finance, or administration of this ministry, it starts from me down. But transparency will report to minister every day. It's very important. Also, you have many challenges need to be addressed by you. Only we are talking about administration of this ministry, but also administration justice within the country. We have many people in custody. We have many people in prisons. Muntazrin, Remet. There are some people have more 5 years, 3 years, and it's our failure. You need to work with public prosecutions to address this issue, because many people said no justice in the country. That's bugulu ma fi adala. Lo ma fi adala, we need to work hard to show them benefit justice. They're very important. We need to train our legal counsels, because legal counsels, they lack training. مشاكل كثير في عرايب، مشاكل كثير. Training civil cases to criminal cases. We need to train our people. We need to make a serious supervision or inspection, the part of our strategic plan. دايرة تشتغل فيه شديد.
Honorable Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, Honorable Deputy Minister, Honorable Undersecretary Mary James Ajit, honorable members of this ministry, all of you from the highest councils to the lowest, and then also honorable chair or president of Bar Association, ladies and gentlemen. It is my delight to be with you this evening to give a very short speech. This speech is actually in recognition of the Undersecretary who has just been appointed, and I had the privilege also of being the one officiating in her oath-taking maybe about a few hours ago today. And I actually mentioned that we are not surprised for the Honorable Undersecretary Mary James Ajit to take this position, because we knew her performances. And I even said that being the Deputy Chief Justice coming from the judiciary and being together with the people of the Ministry of Justice, we are just like twins.